Today I'm back talking about cameras because Fujifilm just launched the latest firmware for their GFX 100 firmware 2.0. I'm Richard and welcome to ZP Productions. And just about 24 hours ago, Fujifilm just launched the latest firmware, version 2.0 for their Fujifilm GFX 100 cameras. Now, that firmware is, I would say, a huge upgrade. In fact, it literally makes this camera a lot more capable if you are doing video. And if you're doing photos, there are some improvements that may interest you. Now, first up, to update the firmware, just make sure that one of your battery is filled, load the firmware into your SD card, load it in, press the, I believe, display back and power on together, and then just load the firmware into the camera itself using the SD card method. Now, this firmware can also be updated using the phone app if you want to, but I personally prefer the SD card method because it just feels more secure rather than going through a phone that may disconnect. Now, that being said, let's talk about the firmware itself. I want to say my biggest disappointment with this firmware first. The pixel shift is not in. Now, the pixel shift, I'll say, is something I won't really use. In fact, I own the Olympus, I don't really use it too. But it would be nice because, in certain landscape situation, 400 megapixels locked into a tripod will be a nice option. But that being said, the firmware is still a marvelous update for version 2.0, and I will talk about it first. Now, for the photography aspect, there is 3 improvements, and for the video aspect, there is 2 major improvements. If you are a photographer just doing photography itself, I'll say as the photography update, I would say is a more of a progressive update, while the video update itself is quite a big deal changer, especially one of them. So let's talk about the photography one first, right? For the photography update, the first one is that they included all the new simulations such as internal bleach bypass, classic negative, classic chrome FX blue, all those new stuff you'll find in the X-T4 and X Pro 3. They are now in the GFX 100, and I think that if you are a GFX 100 user, probably it won't interest you so much because those are simulations meant for JPEGs. If you are using a GFX 100, you probably don't care about JPEGs that much as the RAW, because if you're going to spend $15,000 Sing dollars to buy this camera, RAW is probably what you will do with it. Now, that being said, the next improvement is probably something more useful, and that is the autofocus improvement in many ways. Firstly, now the GFX 100 can shoot to -5 EV. -5 EV based on what? I'm not too sure, but it does improve low light autofocus performance. That is the simplest way to look at it. And this improvement, I did try. What happened is that the lens do rack a little bit faster, the focus do lock on a little bit quicker, and the camera seems to be finding the focus point a little bit faster. Now, I have not tested extensively yet, but at least my initial test with this 45 to 100 loaned to me by Fujifilm Singapore does show some sort of improvement for low light AF. The next one was the improvement in the IAF, and that's for portrait itself. Now, that improvement I have to try this weekend, and I will get back to you guys. If it really does improve, at least to the X-T4 standard, I think the GFX 100 is a lot more usable, because a lot of times it does miss focus, and it's really not very reliable for anything that is moving half decently quick. I hope that the new IAF or Face AF algorithm that entered the GFX 100 is a better deal. The one after that is the focus bracketing, where you do the start and the end and it calculates all the steps in between. I think that function is available in some cameras such as the Phase 1s. So it's finally in the GFX 100. So now you do not need to guess how many steps you need. The camera will take care for you. That is probably very good if you're doing focus stacking. Definitely one of the nice functions you have if you do utilize it. The other one that they actually improve for the photographer is the ability to do settings when you tether to certain softwares, and now your ratings on the camera itself in the RAW do get read by some other softwares out there. That is, I would say it's not a huge improvement. Probably it does help in workflow. If you are the guys who use it, I would say it's a nice improvement for you. Now, the most important performance is for video on this GFX 100. Now, Fujifilm did try to sell this as, I would say, as large format camera, and that is because in the video world, something of this size of sensor size, will probably cost you 5 times the price, and that is like the Alexa LF. Is a very expensive video camera, 5 to 6 times the cost, and if you buy every single lens in GFX plus the GFX 100, you will still not be half the price of that video camera itself, using a sensor that is slightly bigger than this. However, that camera is a lot more capable and you can do a lot higher frame rates and what's not. But that being said, if you want the sensor size, this is the cheapest one of its kind. Now, going back to its updates is because there is two video updates. Let's talk about the lesser one, which is the update to allow you to mount this on gimbals and allow the gimbals to control it using USB-C. Now, that is quite a good deal because a lot of these gimbals have recording functions, zooming functions. They're all built into the gimbal itself, and it's just a matter of the developers allowing the gimbal controllers to take control of the camera functions. A lot of times you try not to touch the camera itself because that will cause some instability. So I say as the new function is definitely a good welcome. Because the GFX 100, even though it's very squarish and stuff, it is a very small camera and not too heavy. Compared to my C200 in front of me now, this camera is a lot easier to balance on a gimbal compared to the C200 or C300s. Definitely much easier to deal with. Now the next thing that came out with this update, I would say is the biggest deal of this update itself. And if you are someone who shoot video with it, I think it's a great deal out there. Because this camera will now output through HDMI ProRes RAW. It will now output RAW through HDMI, and if you are using the Atomos 5, Ninja 5 I believe, you can record ProRes RAW. So the question is, what is ProRes RAW? Just think about it as a 12-bit codecs compared to the 10-bit inside, with a lot more headroom, a lot more information. Now, there are many cameras out there that does it today, such as I believe the Nikon Z cameras. Their recent patch allow them to do it, and I believe the S1H probably can do it too. But for medium format camera, it is a great function. So now you can have a medium format camera with a much bigger sensor, and even at f11 there is bokeh because of its sensor size. And not only that, now you have ProRes RAW, which gives you more dynamic range. The question, like what I believe DP Preview actually, they went to review whether is there a difference between the dynamic range of this camera versus the X-T4. There is not much difference because using the same codecs and compressing it down to 10-bit, probably that's the limit. Hopefully, somebody who tests it out with ProRes RAW can tell me whether this camera do provide a lot more dynamic range or not, because 2 more bit does mean a lot more dynamic range in a RAW file. By the way, my C200 in front of me can record in 12-bit, and I would say, yes, it has more dynamic range, but it depends whether you use it or not. Now, the bad thing of video RAWs is that you need to actually apply quite a bit of noise reduction, because all the noise reduction that is done by the camera is no longer done now because of the RAW function. So I have to see how this RAW output works. Maybe I'll get a Ninja 5 and do some video shoots with it. By the way, my GFX 100 did a few video shoots. Sometimes you notice that the videos are slightly different color, and that is probably shot by the GFX 100. Now, why do I not shoot videos with GFX 100? Is because of two things. Firstly, the AF is really not exactly reliable. It does shift a little bit too much for me. And secondly, the files coming out of this, if you do the H.265, is really hard to handle. And even the H.264 is not as good as the one coming out of the Canon cameras when it comes to editing them. So that is probably something to take note of. And that, I think it's a great firmware. Fujifilm is finally delivering something really, really good update for the GFX 100, which I was waiting for a very long time. It's already been 1 year, and finally there is a version 2. Hopefully the AF does improve a lot. I will keep you guys updated again this weekend after I try it out with a few portrait shoots, and I will tell you whether the IAF is finally something absolutely usable or not. Till then, I hope to see you again, and hope you enjoy this really short video on the update for the GFX 100 firmware version 2.0. I will see you again next time. Bye bye.